Showtime! The Capital G Show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here. So guys, we now have confirmation on one of the last TCG exclusives coming out in Judgment of the Light. I think that this is the second to last one, so there won't be that many after this. It's called Chameleon. It's an Earth Reptile Tuner Monster, 1600 attack, 1100 defense. The effect reads, cannot be normal summoned if you control a level 5 or higher monster. When this card is normal summoned, you can target one monster in your graveyard with 0 defense. Special summon that target in face-up defense position. Its effects are negated. You cannot special summon any other monsters except from the extra deck during the turn you activate this effect. So when I first read Chameleon, I immediately thought of Debris Dragon. For the most part, I feel like that's a card that they tried to mirror with its effect, and that's definitely good because I've always considered Debris Dragon a very playable card. I like this card a lot, mainly because it doesn't have the restriction as far as synchro making goes, you know, that you can only make dragons. With Chameleon, you can make whatever the hell you want. And this is, again, one of those cards where as long as you have decent targets out there, it's going to be somewhat playable. I searched on DN and I found a whole 13 pages worth of effect monsters that have 0 defense. So obviously you've got a pretty big card pool to work with. You just have to be willing to work with those targets. It's also worth noting that this card can also get back synchros and Xyz. Leviathan Dragon for the win. And if you really want to troll your opponent, there's actually a rank 5 Vampire Xyz monster that's coming out in Shadow Specters with 0 defense, so you can essentially summon him back to the field and then overlay Gaia Dragon on top of him and put in some damage. The first deck that popped into my mind as far as playing Chameleon, it was probably Mermail. I say that because a lot of the Atlantean cards are 0 defense, so you know your Dragoon plays are going to be pretty nice because you can instantly Xyz into Abyss Dweller and go +1, or you can opt for Bahamut Shark and actually go +2, which is just fucking silly. But you also have the option of going for Marksman, which means that you now have essentially a 1-card Gun Gear, which is always nice. Now, Mermail won't be the only deck that Chameleon fits in. I know that Ghost Tricks have a few targets out there with 0 defense. You also have TG Striker, TG Werewolf, and Venus that all have 0 defense as well. So TG Agents, anyone. And then basically the entire Steel Swarm archetype. I mean, you know, they all have 0 defense, so you could obviously throw some copies into that if you wanted to play that deck. But Gadgets might be like a sleeper on this list. I say that because Machina Gearframe randomly has 0 defense for whatever reason. So obviously he's your target. That means you now have a way of making 1-card Xyz without losing any advantage outside of, you know, running template Goldfish. And at the same time, it does something that Gadgets really don't have access to: level 8 synchros. This now means that you can, you know, summon Chameleon, get back Gearframe, and you can make Crimson Blader to fight back against dragons. And that's a fucking dope play. You know, the ability to drop Crimson Blader or Scrap Dragon in Gadgets relatively easy is something that you definitely can't sleep on. You know, and then in the long run, you also have cards like Kage Kage. If you're running that in your Gadgets, you're going to have really easy shock drops. It's also pretty crazy just how well Chameleon can work with some of our commonly played hand traps. Droll and Lockbird, Effect Veiler, Sub-Scarecrow, they all have 0 defense, so they're all legitimate targets for the card. I mean, thank God that Battle Fader gets removed, or it might get a little ridiculous. And I'm just going to say it right now, it's going to be really fucking annoying when you're playing against like a Psychic Beatdown deck and somebody drops this card, summons Swift Scarecrow, and then drops like Notoria Beast on you, and you're sitting there salty as hell, not knowing that they also have Silent Psychic Wizard to back them up as a good target too. So, you know, Chameleon actually fits into the Psychic deck quite well. So overall, I think that this card is really legit. I think that it's, you know, pretty much on par with something like the Debris Dragon. I don't really think that it's better or worse. It's just different. The stats are better, but it does have limitations. It doesn't really let you extend your plays if you already have a really super strong field. But again, being able to drop things like Crimson Blader and Machina Gadgets, like, that's fucking dope. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching as always, and go ahead and subscribe. It makes life happy. Subscribing makes life happy.